Okay, so as we begin, what we're going to discuss today is less technical and more mindset. The most effective marketers are experienced and they think in a particular way that is very different from how the average business person thinks, or just how the average pastor thinks. And I think one way that we can see this is by looking at sort of what we would say the top 3%. You see the top 3% in every area of life. You see the top 3% who, what do you want to say, function in the power of God, living in the Holy Spirit power. You see 3% of the people making the most financial wealth. You can see the 3% of the people making the most businesses that are successful. And it just comes from a particular way of thinking. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The most effective 3% of marketers, they all think the same way, and it gets them results. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And the first sort of overarching category that I want to discuss with you, and we're going to borrow this from a book, and this book is one of my favorite business books. It's The 4-Hour Workweek. It's by a gentleman named Tim Ferriss. He's a very gifted businessman, very gifted marketer. Now, we're going to discuss this both ways. All of these have sort of an effective way of thinking and an ineffective way of thinking. And so the effective way of thinking to begin, we would refer to as a ready, fire, aim way of thinking. And so that would be the effective way of thinking. The ineffective way of thinking would be ready, aim, fire, which seems much more intuitive. So I want to address the effective way of thinking first, the way that's going to get the most results here for First Assembly. So in ready, fire, aim, what we do is we begin getting ready to offer a product or a service. In the case of First Assembly, we're going to offer a service that meets a deeply felt need. If you'll remember, that's like the core of everything we've been discussing. How do I meet a deeper need than I met yesterday? Because that's how I'm going to get more response. And so we're going to get ready. And the way we get ready is we're going to create what's called the minimum viable product. Or in, again, the case of churches, minimum viable service. So if you want to offer a ministry of some kind, we're not creating every detail and every aspect. We're not creating it perfectly. We're not trying to get it right the first time. We're creating the bare bones, what would be considered as a full service. Not perfect, but good enough that it does what it's supposed to. We can do it in a very small amount of time, and then we can quickly get it out to the people who are going to tell us whether or not it meets their need. Because I don't know if it meets their need. They tell me if it meets their need, and they can't tell me till they have it. Now, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get ready, and we're going to create this minimum viable product or service, And then we're going to launch that product or service out to our desired audience. You'll remember our target audience is here at the top. That's who we're going to take it to. And then what we're going to do actually here, before make adjustments, I need to add this to the slide, but we're going to ask for feedback. What do you think about this? It's not fully complete, but does it meet your need? And if they say yes, then we're going to add to it. Then we're going to keep building it. We're going to perfect it. If they say no, well, how should it meet your need? So we're going to get feedback, and then after we get feedback, we're going to adjust. And so this is where we're aiming. So we ready ourselves, we create the minimum viable product, we fire it out there to our audience, even if it's not perfect, and then we aim, we take shot after shot after shot until we hit the bullseye, and we take those additional shots with the feedback from our audience. Now, this is how the most effective marketers do marketing. The alternative to this is ready, aim, fire. And this is what most people are comfortable with. And in ready, aim, fire, we ready ourselves and we create a product or a service. But we kind of perceive in this way of thinking that you've only got one shot. I'm gonna put this out there, and it's gonna pass or it's gonna fail. It's gonna be a success or a blunder. People are going, and so what we do is we create it, and we keep creating it, and we try to perfect it based on our own understanding of what would be good. And it takes a really long time to get it to our audience. And then So moving up to this, it takes a long time to get out. Maybe we get nervous. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people creating a product or service, they get nervous. Oh man, what if they don't like it? I've put all this effort in, I could be rejected. And then they quit. Sometimes they'll pull the trigger. They feel like they've perfected it. They've put years of work into it. I shared with you, I wrote a book in my early 20s on behavioral psychology. Major flop, did not work. I targeted the wrong audience and there was no response. And I felt like a failure because I put all the time into perfecting it and then turns out nobody wanted it. And so that's a major problem because then what happens is we launch our perfected product because we've aimed forever and then we're really disappointed. We feel like a failure and then we quit. So all of the ready, aim, fire ways of thinking inhibit us from getting good results. Okay, so effective marketers think ready, fire, aim. Any questions on that before we move on to the next slide? Don't stop now. We have tons of other videos for you to watch and learn how to reach more people more effectively. If you loved this video and you don't want to miss out on what we have coming up for you next, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell to keep up to date on our newest content. If you'd like to work with Clickmill personally, head on over to clickmill.co where you can learn more about our proven marketing strategies. I look forward to seeing you in the very next video.